Welcome back to the world's least boring source of remote work news. We just passed 12 million impressions, which is not bad for episode 35, am I right? So if you believe the future of work is not in an office, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Andrew Allen, and ironically, I finally am back in my office in New Zealand, having spent the past few weeks meeting with remote workers all over Latin America. And if you were jealous of all the cool stuff we did and thought, who do I have to kill to get on that show? Have I got news for you. I'm hitting the road again in just a couple of weeks, and I'm scouting for remote workers all over the globe who want to tell me their story over a cool activity. Just go to this address and you might get to go somewhere awesome, maybe even in a helicopter, like Xavier did last week. This is Out of Office episode 35. And we have some awesome stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks. There's been some epic news stories since I last sat in this chair, and next week I'm going to break them all down for you. We won't be covering the Monopoly game that ended in a samurai sword fight a few weeks ago, but I promise it'll be just as entertaining. Honestly, I'm surprised that hasn't happened before. That bloody game. Whew. Well, the week after next, I'll be reporting from Lisbon, Portugal, at the world's largest remote work conference. Hopefully I'll run into some of you there, but it did make me realize, what do you call a group of remote workers that big? I mean, there's no punchline, it's just an observation. There's no collective noun for a group of remote workers. I guess we're not pet animals. And that brings me to this week's topic. Humans. Are you familiar with Humans of New York? It's just photographs of random New Yorkers on the street with a story about them. And I kid you not, these are the most riveting stories of all time. Like, when this lady tells you her stripper name was Tanqueray, don't you just immediately need to know more? Anyway, the thing that I love about Humans of New York is that there are so many stereotypes about New Yorkers, and some of them may be true, but there are so many different ways to be a New Yorker that no stereotype or collective noun could properly capture all of those dimensions. The only thing I've ever seen that manages to come close to doing that is Humans of New York. And that's because they shift focus from the macro to the micro, from the collective to the individual. And by doing that, they create a collection of stories that's a more accurate and complete reflection of what it means to be a New Yorker than any universal story ever could be. Each story is like a thread in a tapestry or a fragment in a mosaic, and no piece can ever contain the whole, which is kind of the beauty of it. That epiphany is changing the shape of this show, because it's true of remote workers too. Remote workers are not one thing. Some of us work full-time and some of us work gigs. Some of us prefer working alone and some of us are social butterflies. Some of us keep the same hours every single day and every single week. Some of us wake up and choose chaos. Some of us started working remotely in the pandemic, and some of us started before it was cool. Some of us like to work from exotic places. Some of us perfected a sweet home office setup that's so cool we would rather die than work from a suitcase. And for some of us, working remotely is a preference, and the best thing about it is skipping traffic. But for others, it's a lifeline, enabling access to better opportunities than we could ever have accessed without it. There's no one way to be a remote worker. There's no one belief system shared by remote workers. And there's no one news story that affects all remote workers. So because this show is for all remote workers, the heart of it is in the news. It's humans and their stories. So that's why it's so important I got off my butt, stepped outside of these four walls, and started meeting the humans of remote work. And that's where you come in. If you have a story to tell about remote work, I want to hear it. Especially if you haven't felt represented by the other stories that you've seen on this show. The more different, the better. We need every thread in the tapestry. We need your fragment in the mosaic. So please, go here. Let me know you're up for an adventure, and you just never know what's gonna happen. But I promise, it's gonna be a fun ride. I'm Andrew Allen, and the future of work is out of office.